Hey Stampers, welcome to Brandy's Cards. So today we've got a 10 and 20 for you. It's spring, it's just a great time to pull out those flower stamp sets. And as you know, the Stampin' Up! Spring 2015 catalog is still going on through June 2nd of 2015. So absolutely love our spring catalog. And if you open to page 23, so let me find page 23 here. There we go. The Petal Potpourri stamp set is what we're going to use today. So let me show you. Here it is. This is Petal Potpourri. I love the 4 different flowers in this stamp set. They're fantastic and you can use them for so many different projects and ideas. But today we're going to use this fun one right here in the right hand corner. I really like this one. So that's what we're going to use for our card today. Now the Petal Potpourri stamp set also coordinates with the Flower Medallion Punch. So if you look at page 23, you'll see a little green square, and that is going to show you that there is a bundle on this item. Let me see here. This will show you right here. There's the bundle. So if you purchase those 2 items together, you're going to get a 15% discount. So I highly recommend it. Once it goes into the main catalog, the Stampin' Up! Catalog, if it goes into the main catalog, then they will be back at regular price. Now, a lot of you have asked me, when does the new Stampin' Up! Annual catalog come out? Well, that is a great question. I believe we're going to start talking about it probably sometime late April, early May, and it'll hopefully be available or go live in June. So it's coming, and I promise you I will absolutely be sure to send those of you who request one a catalog, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put this aside. I love this cover of this catalog as well. Now take a look here. This is the card that we're making today. Isn't that fun? Very kind of, I don't know, industrial. I love the little, the texture here in the back. And love the flower, of course. That's from the Petal Potpourri. Now the saying here, a friend loves at all times, that came from the, let me show you, this is from the Blessed by God stamp set. This is a fabulous stamp set, and I'm really excited to use this stamp set for some Easter projects as well. So I'm going to start working on that probably this afternoon. But this is just a really fun set to use as well. All right, so today's a 10 and 20, and I'm really excited to show you the process of how I make multiple cards for my customers, my friends, my family. I just love to give cards as a gift. I've got Teacher Appreciation coming up in a couple of weeks in April, so I have got my work cut out for me. So I'm going to go ahead and get started for you today. Today we've got basic black cardstock. Now I wanted to, when I did this card, I was trying to think of a way to make multiple cards, but kind of keep it pretty simple. Because when you do 10 cards and you're thinking just a few minutes, well, let me tell you, it can be tough. So, you want to make multiples. You still want to keep them, fun and clean, but it's tough to do it really fast. And again, this is not about doing it fast. This is honestly just to show you how I can do multiple cards and how you can do them multiple cards at home. A lot of times folks will say to me, oh my gosh, Brandy, I just made one card and I sent it to my friend Sally and I don't remember what it looks like and I'd love to make it again, or I wish I could show you that card. Well, this just kind of gives you the opportunity to make multiples, give a bunch as a gift, and then maybe save one aside for yourself. So right now, all I've done is I've just folded my cardstock in half. This is basic black cardstock, and all of the sizes and the dimensions will be on brandyscards.com. So don't worry, they will not come across on this video today, so you can find them at brandyscards.com. And all you gotta do is click in the search tab and type in their Petal Potpourri or the Medallion Punch, Flower Punch, and this project should come up. If all else fails, send me an email and I'll be sure to send you the link for this video. All right, so now what I have here is I have some whites cut, and I've got my Tombow glue, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue these to the top of my card. Now, a lot of times folks will say to me, well, why, if you're going to put a piece of white cardstock on top, why do you layer it twice? Well, if you take a look here at the front of my card, I really like that layered look. I like the white kind of being the frame, or like the mat, like in a picture frame. So that's why I put the white there in the front or in the back, because I just like the way that it looks. But you certainly don't have to do that. That is just one thing that I enjoy doing. All right. So what I'm doing again is I'm just gluing these down here to the front. That's right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the fun parts. And I'm going to show you exactly how I made that fun texture. It's really, really cool, right? All right. I also want to point out that we're coming down to the last 2 weeks of Celebration. That's right. Now, if you're not familiar with Celebration, for every $50 that you spend before shipping and tax through March of this year, March 2015, you can get a free Celebration item. And they are fantastic this year. And if you didn't know it, Stampin' Up! Added 4 extra items. So we're all super excited about that. And I hope that you pop on over to brandyscards.com and you can take a look at the Celebration items. They are fantastic this year. And the extra 4 items that were just added in March, they are exclusive, so they will go away on March 31st. So be sure to check those out. I have loved them in the vellum. Very, very, very pretty. All right, so I've got about 1 more, I think, here to glue down. And then we're going to move on. Now, the size of the cardstock here in my hand, this is my Whisper White piece. This one is 5 1/4 by 4. The only reason that I'm mentioning that now is because I'm going to show you the next piece. All right, so there's my 10 cards. I'm just going to set them there. So my next piece is actually going to be, because you know normally when you size it down, you're going to cut it down 1/4 of an inch. You're going to cut it down 1/4 of an inch, which it would normally be 5 by 3 3/4 if you were going to center it in this space. But because what I'm going to do is I'm pulling out the crimper. You guys remember the crimper? No, this is not for your hair. This is for your paper. That's right. You guys remember the crimper? It is a fantastic product. It's by Fiskars. I love it. You can find it in a craft store. And it is just a fun little gadget. And I think a lot of times we forget about this guy. And he is just so much fun to use. One thing I enjoy is when I'm at a card class and I pull out the crimper, and it's just kind of funny to observe, you know, somebody will put the paper in and they put it in backwards and it falls out, and it's kind of entertaining. But anyway, I always show the gals, this is how you do it, and then once they get the hang of it, it is just so much fun. All right, so you'll see here you've got kind of a clasp. So what I typically do is I'll kind of clasp it and kind of close it, and then turn your dial. The reason that you want to do that is just to make sure the teeth are in the right spot so you get that nice deep crimp. And then you'll see you've got arrows here, so that's where you're going to feed your paper through. So the reason that this cardstock, I wanted to tell you about the sizes, is I actually left it at 5 1/4, which is the layer underneath it. So it's at 5 1/4, and then I cut it down to 3 3/4. So it's correct on one side, and then it's longer on the long side. And so the reason that I did that is when you stick it through your crimper, it actually crimps it and it kind of shrinks it about 1/8 of an inch. So that is why I had to do that. Now take a look here. I'm just feeding it through. See that? Look at that fabulous texture. Can you guys see how awesome that is? It's awesome. And it's raised. It just has this great, great, great texture to it. So again, what we're going to do is just kind of make sure that our teeth are in the right spot. And I'm going to run these through just like that. And so I have 10 here to do. Now what you're going to notice is if you don't get your paper in there pretty straight, it's going to get a little cattywamped. It's going to probably have diagonals, but you know what? That just makes it more fun, right? It just makes it more unique. Now, depending on, you know, how straight you want it, you just kind of have to be careful and make sure you get it in there as straight as possible. Now, what I do want to point out is when we're all done here, I'm going to show you that this cardstock is actually going to be 1/8 too long. And so somebody said to me in class the other day, well, why don't you just cut it so that we don't have to worry about that? You know, cut it just 1/8 of an inch short. Well, I'll be honest with you. The reason that I don't is it seems like every time I cut it, I end up short. And so it's just kind of a surefire thing that if I leave it a quarter of an inch longer, that at the very end I can snip it off pretty easy and I have the right size cardstock. So here we go, my cutting board here. I usually cut 3 to 4 pieces at a time. You could certainly individually cut them. You don't have to kind of put them together, but I find it's just as easy. Now remember, this piece is a little bit long, so I need to cut it down about 1/8 of an inch. So now it should fit beautifully, and see how small that little piece is? So we're not talking very much at all. And so let's just grab a couple more here, and we're going to cut that down because we want that to center on our card. That's why we're cutting it down. And let me grab the last stack. So we just did that in 3 stacks. Not too bad, right? All right, so we're just going to move that. There we go, we've got our scraps. Now here is the fun part. Now are you guys wondering how I made that great look of that texture and how I made it fun? Well, I took the Mementos pad, and what I did is, I know you guys are going, oh, I know what she did. Well, if you could get your hands on this fabulous texture right here, you would totally feel it and be like, oh, that's awesome. So because of this stamp pad, it's kind of got that, it's flat, it's fairly flat, and it's just really easy to kind of make my own little texture. So I am rubbing this right on my cardstock, just like that. Pretty cool, right? So that's all I'm doing is I'm just rubbing this back and forth. And you know, you can go different directions with it, and you can, you know, you can just add all kinds of, you know, you could even push harder and it's going to be a little darker. You can push less and it's going to be a little lighter. I even on some of these sides kind of went through and kind of did the little, you know, flicking around the edges with the stamp pad, and that kind of also adds kind of a fun look to it as well. So just play with this. I mean, there is certainly no right or wrong way to do this. This is just really kind of fun. Now let me tell you, your fingers will get messy. They will. I'm sorry, it is what it is. But you will have a lot of fun, and you'll have 10 great cards. So, you know, it's all right. And it washes off, I promise. We had a class the other day, and I think somebody, somebody had it all over their hands, and she was like, oh, does this come off your hands? And I'm like, it comes off your hands, but I'm not so sure about your clothes. So, it does come off, so don't worry about that. All right. So I've got a couple more to do, and really just have fun with this part. You know, don't rush through it. I just think it's a lot of fun, and I kind of like to prep my edges a little bit too, and you know, kind of make your way through here. We've got a couple more to do. Let's see, and then you'll also notice, see this one here. If you take, you see this one here, it's kind of on a diagonal, and so what I decided to do was sort of take my pad and sort of color it in right there, and it kind of sort of hides the diagonal because the rest of it looks pretty straight. And I mean, if it was all diagonal, it'd probably be fine. But it kind of looks like I made a mistake right there on the edge, which, you know, that's okay too, because that's just keeps it real, right? You know, because you know, all of them are going to be different. That's what I like about it. All right, I've got 2 more with my Mementos pad. And yes, I want to point out that our Mementos stamp pads and the refills, they are still available through Stampin' Up. So those are still available. We did have to shut down our blendability, so I do want to point that out. Stampin' Up has identified a quality issue with our Stampin' Up blendabilities recently, and so, you know, we're all really sad about that, but unfortunately they've shut off that product. But I want to tell you that I'm really excited that Stampin' Up has identified this problem, and that they have, you know, they've focused on quality, and they want you to have the best product that they could deliver. And so I stand behind them in this product, and I'm really glad that they decided to go with quality, and they had to shut that off. But they know how much we love these blendabilities and these alcohol markers and all those products. So I feel confident that when they figure out a new manufacturer or they work out something with the current one, that those will come back to us. So it's unfortunate, but the good thing is we still have our Mementos, and that's what I'm using to make today's card with. All right, so let's move over here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start gluing these babies down. Now I am using Tombow glue. You certainly, you know, you can certainly use whatever you want, honestly. You can use tape runner as well. See, take a look there. See how the white around it frames it? Yeah, I think that's like really fun. Really, really fun. And so you could use a tape runner, of course, the snail or the fast fuse. I'm a big Tombow fan, so it just, you know, kind of gives me a little bit of wiggle room. That's why I like it so well. So I'm not really worrying too much about where I put the glue on here. quite honestly, this pattern with the crimped lines and of course the Mementos black on it, you can't see any glue bumps or lumps or anything like that. So it really kind of masks it. So I'm just kind of getting these on for you guys really quick. And then we're going to move over to our flowers. Now, one thing I want to point out is that today I'm using black and white. And I'm going to put a melon mambo flower on the front. But have you thought about using maybe turquoise? Tempting turquoise as the base and maybe as the as your crimped lines, as the stripes. And then how about you use a Daffodil Delight flower on the left? That would be very, very pretty. So this is just the starting place. And I'm excited to see what you guys do with it from here. This is just to kind of get your mojo and your creative juices flowing and then see what you guys come up with after this. All right, so we have 2 more. Then we're going to move over to our flower. So you want to grab your Petal Potpourri stamp set. And if you don't have Petal Potpourri, that's okay. Grab any flower stamp set that you have that you can work with. And we're going to get stamping with that. All right. So here we go. We're going to stick this down. Perfect. Now what I have is I just went ahead and I cut. These are, I believe, 2 3/4 or 3 inches. These are just Whisper White pieces. And what we're going to do with these Whisper White pieces is I have my Petal Potpourri stamp set and I've got my flower and I'm going to go ahead and I am going to stamp my flower. I'm going to stamp 10 of them. There's 1 and here's 2. I usually can get 4 to a page pretty easily. So I'm going to stamp 4 of these guys. And then after that, I'm going to clean my stamp set and I'm going to show you a fun way to make some petals or some leaves as well, because you know, you got to sort of think outside of the box. That's right. All right, here's a Stampin' Scrub. We've got our Stampin' Mist. Love this stuff. You know, the other day, I got an email from somebody that said to me, what is the difference between Stays-On cleaner and the Stampin' Mist? Well, your Stays-On cleaner is more for like your permanent inks, like your Stays-On ink or your Memento ink. But I like to use my Stampin' Mist whenever I use my ink pads. It works beautifully, okay? So that is the difference. Now, you can use Stays-On cleaner for both. You don't have to just use it, you know, just for the Stays-On ink or the Mementos ink. You can use it for, you know, you can use it for the regular stamp pads as well. So just for good measure, I'm just going to go ahead. I just went ahead and stamped a bunch of those. I didn't need all of those, but I know that I have got lots of thank you notes to make and that I'll be making a lot of these cards. So I just went ahead and did that. So I'm just going to, remember, my right side for me is my wet side. So I sprayed it on my stamp. Now I'm cleaning it there on the left side. All right, so let's take it a step further. Now, a lot of you have emailed me and you have said, now, Brandy, do you know that when I put my paper in my medallion, my flower medallion punch, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. And you guys are like, what is the deal? And it's really hard and you kind of move around and you're like, get cranky, right? Well, it happens to me. So what I do is I just cut these corners off like this. And to kind of save time, I'll probably just go and cut all my corners. That's right, because right now we're kind of doing the assembly line kind of stamping. So if I go ahead and I cut the corners on both ends, then when I go to start punching out my flowers, it should all punch pretty easily. And so it's kind of, honestly, it's these corners that keep it from going in there perfectly and will absolutely make you cranky. But once you get these corners cut off, I promise you that will work perfectly. All right. Here we go. Now there's a trash over here. I didn't throw it on the floor. Okay, because you know, when you're in your craft room, things just like go everywhere. But no, there's a trash over here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my flower in there, and I just look for this big petal right here. And remember, you want the where you punch that you can see into the punch. And so we're going to slide our paper in there, and look at that. That fit great. Fit great. Now we're going to flip our paper over. Do the same exact thing. We're going to put that in there, punch that baby out, set it aside. And I'm just going to move all through these flowers. That's right. I'm just going to kind of keep going back and forth and back and forth. And you can see that, you know, some of the punches, you know, it takes a little bit more to line up. This one is super, super, super easy, honestly. I have not had a problem lining it up pretty quickly. And when you move through like this, it does go pretty fast. Now I did cut the paper down, and the reason that I cut the paper down is so that I could move through a lot faster. I just find that you waste less paper by cutting it down, and then you're able to kind of move through. Now here, you see we've got all of this paper on the edge where we punched, and so if you just cut around those corners, I'm telling you, you'll be amazed at how much easier it really is. Okay, so it's only taken me a few years to figure that out, but that's okay. That's all good. So I got a couple more to do, and these are the green ones. Now, if you haven't figured it out yet, which I'm sure all of you have, the green ones are actually going to be our leaves. So we're going to use our flower as also our leaves, which I think is pretty darn cool. And so I'm going to stick that back in here in my punch, kind of line it up. And you know, the other thing that I like about this punch is that honestly there's a lot of wiggle room. I mean, it's, you know, it's got a lot of white around the flower, so there's a lot of play room, if you will. So it doesn't have to be totally perfect. There we go. So it looks like I've got just a couple more to punch out, and then we're going to assemble our card and we'll be well on our way. There we go. And there's one more to punch. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to set that punch down here. Now before I assemble and I show you how to put your card together, let's go ahead and stamp our greeting. So today I picked it out of the Blessed by God, and this one is a friend loves at all times. And I'm just going to go ahead and stamp that here on the right hand side. And let's see, stamp it. And I really liked the way that it just kind of, it really went with the background, with the stripes, with the Mementos pad being kind of swiped in the background. It kind of, to me, had sort of a retro industrial type look, which I thought was like super cool. And the words kind of follow right in line with that. So it was really neat, I thought. So I've just got a couple more of these to stamp. Of course, if you don't have this stamp set, it is okay. You can certainly use any greeting that you would like. So don't worry about that. Just go out to your stash and find yourself the stamp set that works best for you. I'm just going to set this aside. Let's get these glued down really quick so that we can add our flowers and our leaves. All right. Now, if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Catalog, let me know. I would love the opportunity to earn your business, and I'd be more than happy to send you a Stampin' Up! Catalog. You know, our catalogs are fantastic. They are full of ideas, lots of inspiration, and whenever somebody emails me, I always look forward to sending those catalogs out because I know that once you get them, you will be so excited and so inspired to start creating and sharing some cards and that sort of thing. So pretty darn cool. If you have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, though, please be sure to email your demonstrator for a catalog. But if you don't, I would love the opportunity to earn your business and to send you one. So just let me know, and I'll get that out to you. And again, the sizes and the dimensions for this card, they are on brandyscards.com. So make sure you hop on over there, and you can see all of the sizes and the dimensions and all the products that I used. I'll be sure to list them all out for you. And don't forget to try various colors. Please promise me that you'll play and you'll try some different colors, because I am dying to try some purples for Easter. I just think, I just love the lavenders and the purples, and I just think that'll be fun to play with. All right, there we go. And I've got one more to glue down. Then I'm going to add my flowers. Okay, and we're going to add our flowers to this. Perfect. All right, so now what we're going to do, now that I have this all done, is I'm just going to go ahead and add my flowers. Now, you can do it a couple different ways. I personally like to just, you know, since I'm kind of doing the assembly line type of thing, just set them all out, or just set them out, you know, where you can kind of see them pretty good. And I'm just going to put a little dab of glue here on my piece of paper because I do know where I want my flower. Now some of you might think, well, why don't you pop them up? You could certainly pop these up, absolutely. But you know what? I don't really think that you need to because we're going to add some other items to it. We're going to add the petite petal punch in the center, and it really does kind of still give a nice lift without having to pop it up, I suppose. So I'm just kind of bending my petals up to kind of give it a little bit of personality. And I'm just sticking my melon bumbo flower right there, kind of where I like it, onto next to my greeting. That's right. See that? Just set it right there. Now again, you can absolutely pop it up, but for today's card, I didn't mind it not popped up because I feel like when you bend your little petals and you add your petite petal punch and that sort of thing, it really does kind of give the illusion that it is 3D. Now, why did I go ahead and put some glue down as I was before I started putting these down? You know, I just thought it would be easier. I just thought it would be easier just to add the glue, and then all I have to do is just focus on the flower. I just thought it would be kind of a little bit easier. You can also use mini glue dots. Those will work too. All right, there you go. We've got that down. Now remember, over here, do you remember I stamped these flowers? What I did is I just kind of cut in here, and I took one big petal and one of the smaller petals, and I just kind of rounded it out all towards the center. So if you do it right, you're going to be able to get 4 leaves, per se, I guess, out of one flower. Now you might have to go through and trim them a little bit because as you kind of move through here, you'll see that some of them kind of get, as you trim them, there's white left in here and it's a little bit thicker and maybe not so pretty. So just trim it off. It's not that big a deal. Nobody will know the difference. So I just kind of went in there and just made it better, just trimmed it off. That's it. Remember, with crafting, you just have to improvise and, improvise and make it your own, and I promise you it will work. All right, so this is the last leaf. That was the fastest leaf that I think I have ever made out of a flower, right? It's pretty cool, really. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little glue here behind my leaf, and now I'm just going to tuck it here on my card, right where I like it to be. See, right there? I just tucked it in there. That's all I did. Just add a little bit of glue, and then I picked up my flower and I just tucked it. Now remember, when I glued my flower down, I really only put glue right there where in the center, where the center of the flower would land. And because I did that, I've got lots of room. The flower still like lifts up. It's not, what do I want to say? It's not like glued down where I can't still stick the petals, the leaves in there. There's still some wiggle room in there, which is the key. Because if you glue this flower, tons of glue, then you're not going to have that wiggle room. And you certainly might get a little frustrated because you're like, okay, now Brandy just tucked her leaves right in there. I can't get mine in there. Well, that's why, because I just put a dab of glue right in the center where the flower would go. So let's keep on going here. And we're going to add, now take a look here. One thing I really liked is I liked my leaves to kind of come down and cover this corner section right there. Just play with it and see how you liked them and see where, where you think it looks the most eye-pleasing. I guess I go back and forth. That's where I liked it the best, right where it kind of covered that corner. That was where I just thought it was really cool. All right, I dropped one on the floor. There we go. Sorry about that. Had to get it. And that one, it looks like, has a little bit of a long piece. All right, so here we go. Let's stick that in there. Oh my gosh, I love it. When I did this card, honestly, it wasn't until I until I added these green leaves, that's when it really popped for me. And I thought, oh, I love this card and I can't wait to share it. We actually did it at one of my card classes recently. And I think the girls really, really liked it. And so that's why I decided to share it with y'all as well. And it's also going to be my thank you note for this month. So I have a lot of these cards yet to make. That is so pretty. I am so loving that. So pretty. So when we're done, I have a few variations to show you. I've been playing and having a little fun, and I know that you guys like to see other ideas and ways to do things as well. So I'm excited to show you kind of what I came up with. All right, there you have it. These are all done. I've got 10 of my petals on here, my flowers. I've got all my leaves, and I think we are ready to move on to the next piece of it. The Petite Petal Punch, I went ahead and I just punched out 10 of these little white flowers. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to put a dab of glue here in the center. Now, yes, you can use a mini glue dot for sure. But you know, I find it's just as easy just to add a bit of Tombow right there in the center. And you can kind of bend up your leaves if you'd like and just set it right there in the center of your flower. Now, I tried all kinds of different ways to figure out what I liked best. And I'll be honest with you, I really like just a white, simple flower. I thought about glittering the flower. You could make it, you know, you could take it and put some two-way glue pen on it and kind of put it in your Dazzling Diamonds glitter and really dazzle it up if you wanted to. But, you know, I really just liked the simplicity of this card, so I left it white. I did. I just left it white. All right, so I have a couple more to stick down, and then I'm going to go on to the center. There we go. One more. Actually, two more. I lied. All right, there we go. Oh, these are so pretty. Okay, so now what I have here, I believe this is the 1/4 inch or the 1/2 inch circle punch, but on Brandy'sCards.com, I will tell you for sure. I should have looked that up before I started stamping, but I didn't, so I'll have to tell you what that is on Brandy'sCards.com, okay? So now I am just going to take a little bit of glue and I'm going to set it right here in the middle of my flower. Now I will tell you, I have been at classes, I've taught classes where I've seen folks take and try to put the glue on the circle. I don't recommend that because it's really little, and as you guys know, it's just really hard to maneuver it if you put it on that circle, isn't it? Yeah. So what I find is the easiest thing to do is just go ahead, put it on, just put a little dab, very little dab, because you don't want it like gushing out the sides, right? So just a little dab of it, and then you can just stick your circle right on the top. And it works perfectly. And the nice thing about the Tombow glue is you got a little wiggle room. So if it's not perfectly centered, you can kind of push it around in the center of that flower and you'll be good to go. All right, one more to put down here. Perfect. Okay, so we are almost done with this card. Let's flip this over and let's add our Stampin' Dimensionals, because you know, I gotta have some Stampin' Dimensionals somewhere on this card. So I'm going to start sticking my Stampin' Dimensionals down, and you know, you can use as many as you would like. I put one on each corner, but you can do it how you wish. We're just going to stick all these down. I almost find it's easier, just go ahead and as you're sticking them down, go ahead and take off the backings right at the same time, and it'll just save you a little bit of time as you kind of stick all of these down. I love our Stampin' Up! Stampin' Dimensionals. They are pretty awesome. Awesome. They are the right size. Love them. I use a ton. But, all right, so we're just going to stick all of these down. And got just a couple more to do. We're going to stick these to the front of our card, and we will be done with today's 10 and 20. So I'm super excited to show you some of the variation that I came up with, and I hope that you give this card a try. Super fun, super easy. Play with the crimper. Play with that thing. There are so many things that you can do. You could change the way that your lines go. You know, I had mine go up and down, but you could turn yours and do them long ways if you'd like. But just remember that you have to build in a little bit of extra cardstock when you turn the paper and you add the crimped look in the other direction. You have to make sure the paper is a little bit longer because you will lose about 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But other than that, the other neat thing that the crimper does that I love is it'll break down your paper fibers. So you can break down those paper fibers and you can really start to do some fun things with kind of, pulling your paper apart and that sort of thing. All right, so let's start adding these to our card. So here's the fun card. I'm just going to center it. Oh my goodness, that is fantastic. Yay! What do you guys think? I just love it. I think it's so much fun. So anyway, we're going to just set these down and we are going to add that right to the top here. Perfect. And that's all we're going to do. We're just going to simply add these to the top, and because we've already done all of the work and steps, this is the easy part. Is just adding that. Now, I do want to point out that it would be very, very good if you did, if you went ahead and you might want to wash your hands, kind of in the middle, because what will happen is if you touch your cardstock, after you've been, using the black ink and stuff, you just got to be careful because you could leave smudges and stuff. So you might want to, after you do your, after you do this crimped part of it, you might want to wash your hands. Now, because we've worked through the process, I think it's pretty much dry on my fingers. But just to be on the safe side, it wouldn't hurt at all to do that. All right, so there we go. I've got 2 more to do. There's one. And here is the second, or the last one. There you go. All right, here we go. We have got 10 cards, 20 minutes, and they are all so much fun, and they are also different. That is what I love about them, is, our lines are a little different. Some of the way the memento streaks and the different, the way the texture went, some of the diagonals and the way that it was crimped, they're all just a little bit different. And so I just think that makes them all unique and so much fun. So as I did this project, I thought, how can I show you guys a little bit of the extras? How can I find a way to get you to think outside of the box or maybe get a little more creative with color? So what I decided to do is I grabbed Tempting Turquoise, and I did the same card, and then I added the Tempting Turquoise, which I thought turned out really pretty. And then I pulled out Daffodil Delight. Yeah, that one I thought was awesome, 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 especially spring. It just felt right. And then here's the pink that we've already done. Yes, check this out. This is Tempting Turquoise cardstock, and I did the exact same thing that I did with the basic black, but then I added a Melon Mambo pink flower, and I finished it with the flower, or the Melon Mambo cardstock in the center. So I just thought that was really fun. Now you could absolutely add some jewel rhinestones to the center of these. I liked it simple and very industrial retro type looking. So I think mine are going to be just like this. But you can absolutely sparkle them up, dazzle them up, and have fun. That is what crafting is all about. So I just really appreciate you stopping by Brandy's Cards. I hope that you've enjoyed today's project and tutorial. I hope that you give it a try. And stay in touch. And thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.